anytime it's election season, I'm always just like, thank God we live in Canada.
Yep.
But I mean, this election, like I feel drained at this point
Yes.
mentally, like
Yeah.
really just
I
drained.
feel the past few days I felt hungover.
Oh, literally. That's the best way of describing it because I just found.
I mean, I also was actually hungover.
Well,
I was like, I need to drink a lot of wine to get through this.
It's,
And
it's like, well, I was hungover, but also mentally hungover. So like every aspect, I was just hungover. Yes. I don't know. I just found like with having a provincial election that turned out horrible, and then seeing everyone from this province specifically clock into this election, I was like, oh, so like we all could have clocked in.
Right.
Cool,
right.
cool, cool.
It was there.
Yeah.
It was there, but we just weren't. Yeah.
Well, and I think this election was a good cultural reset in some ways, where it speaks to if the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it, where leadership is so important. We saw the Liberal Party essentially being tanked, and like now it's like pretty much a global phenomenon at this point with how like that spun around like to a point where it was gaggy.
Yes.
How that spun around, and then to see Pierre Poilievre lose his seat. Oh,
cherry on top.
Literally, like inject that shit into my veins. That was
bottle that up.
Oh,
give it,
seeing that in real time too.
I looked at that article this morning. I googled the headline of it where it was like, what do they call you? They called you like hack. Like
a liberal pawn.
Yeah.
Which I was like.
No,
okay.
let's get the headline up right now for the people.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
It's right on my iPad right now. Feds pay profane TikTok host. That was it. I was like, profane. What a vulgar word.
Well, it's funny because like even when I was looking through that article when it was like first posted, I was like, you know what? Some of the things I said there, I ate with that. I was looking back at like that article and I was like, you know what?
I mean, the Western Standard, the most reputable news source in the country.
Of course, that and Russell Brand, pretty much. Like who else are we gonna pull from like the trenches to be reputable at this point?
Oh my God! You guys have already heard his iconic voice, but let me just tell you who he is. Welcome back to Overstimulated with me, Hillary Henderson. Today we're with Dylan Horner. He is a political commentator, a designer, and a content creator. And you are in between jobs right now, as we were just discussing. And so if the government's listening, give him a nice refund under the taxes or something. I don't know.
Damn.
Oh my God.
What an intro.
Dylan, it has been, I feel like this last week has been ripe for content related to politics.
Not ripe. Not ripe. Oh my God. Ooh.
I'm like, why did I just become like a 50-year-old woman all of a sudden with that sentence? I was like, the young people are making things, aren't they?
Oh my God.
Let's talk about it. You watched the election last week with everybody else.
Yep.
And what were you thinking when you were first sitting down? Like, what was it? Set the stage for us. Like, did you have snacks? Did you have people nearby, an emotional support blanket?
Well, it was very much like I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for the evening. I think everyone was on the same page because when I went to Metro or like any sort of grocery, like I think it was Metro. I went to the store to grab some sort of snack. Everyone was like, it was giving COVID energy where everyone was grabbing whatever essential they could to get them through the night. Like I saw someone grabbing a bottle of wine, someone had chips. Like, and then
people were like, I need all this fucking toilet paper.
It was giving that. And so whether it was like a celebratory treat you had or like an anxiety treat, either way, it was like everyone was on board with that. And like that's my treat of choice was, I think it was like those mini Mr. Christie cookies.
Oh, yeah. I like those. Those are a good one.
Yeah.
We had a variety of different chips at my party, but I had a couple people over. There was like a really expensive $5 bag of Miss Vicky's chips that I almost bought for myself. And then my boyfriend, who leans a bit more right than I do, he was the one that actually brought them. So I was like, this is why you have the money and you're fiscally right because I can't afford to get the fancy ones that I wanted. I was like, everybody bring your own snack to the party that represents how you feel about the current climate.
Oh my God.
I love it. Were there any like key moments for you, or was there anything that you thought was really funny about watching election night?
Well, I don't know. Like, I think with the election, it was really... because we just came off of the provincial election where everyone in this province essentially just proved that mediocrity would thrive again. I mean, full tea. Like, let's just call it for what it is. Like, Ontario is so embarrassing sometimes. Like, provincially, like, our country is so embarrassing. But I wasn't sure how it was going to go because, like, polling at the end of the day said that Mark Carney was going to win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but, like, people have a way of proving how horrible they can be.
Totally.
So
totally.
okay, it seems like it's going to go in that direction. And then there was one point of the night where the polling was coming in, and I think it was like 152 to 154, and they already declared that the Liberals were going to win. And I was like, wait, what's going on?
Right.
What's going on?
They're counting up all the Alberta votes, and you were like, ooh.
I was like, this is not funny anymore. This is not cute.
Well, and that's what I think sometimes happens with polls, where people see in the polls a result that they want, and they think, oh, well, that's basically a done deal. And it's like, no, actually, the polls only say what you think they're going to say. If you actually do what they think you're going to do,
exactly.
show up, obviously.
Well, the thing that people need to be mindful of, oops, sorry, not the glass on the mic. What people need to be mindful of with polling here is that, like, with this election, people really like to compare it to America with like Kamala Harris and Trump. And I think this was a very different election than that. But our polling is so different than America in the sense where they have the Electoral College. So no matter what, like, the popular vote could be there, they have a system actively designed to make people like Trump and Republicans stay in office, where here it's not perfect, but it definitely works off the seats. So
I'm so glad we don't have any BS like an Electoral College. And like, honestly, that's part of the reason why I started making any political content, because I was just like, it was so aware based on some of the comments I was reading, not necessarily on my own content, but just in general, that I was like, oh no, people don't actually understand that the Canadian system is designed very differently.
Oh yeah.
Like, people didn't get that.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how the Electoral College system works. I've never like bothered to learn it because I was like, boring. Like,
imagine, best way of describing the Electoral College, it's like, for Canadians, it's as if we all had the election we just had, like all the seats came in essentially, but then now on the provinces, they have like a point system. So it would be like Alberta has like, I don't know, the most amount of points.
Ew.
And so it essentially, well, and that's America.
Yeah.
That's America. So like like you have all these like small-minded provinces or places governing or dictating how this whole place the whole country will be governed.
Yeah.
So it's like, anytime it's election season, I'm always just like, thank God we live in Canada.
Yep.
But this election, like I feel drained at this point, mentally, like really just drained.
I feel the past few days I felt hungover.
Oh, literally. That's the best way of describing it, because I just found coming off of
I also was actually hungover. I was like, I need to drink a lot of wine to get through this. And like,
I was hungover, but also mentally hungover. So like every aspect, I was just hungover. Yes. I don't know. I just found, like, with having a provincial election that turned out horrible, and then seeing everyone from this province specifically clock into this election, I was like, oh, so like we all could have clocked in.
Right,
cool,
right.
Cool, cool.
It was there. Yeah. It was there, but we just weren't. Yeah.
Well, and I think this election was a good cultural reset in some ways, where it speaks to, if the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it, where leadership is so important. And I think that's where we're seeing issues with, like, provincially here in Ontario, not to like get into a whole like thing about Ontario politics, because that could go on for hours, but it just speaks to how important leadership is, where we saw the Liberal Party essentially being tanked, and like now it's like pretty much a global phenomenon at this point, with how like that spun around, like to a point where it was gaggy.
Yes.
How that spun around, and then to see Pierre Poilievre lose his seat. Oh,
cherry on top.
Literally, like, inject that shit into my veins. That was
bottle that up.
Oh, seeing that in real time too.
I do wish we could have got a visual on his face in real time when he found the news.
Oh, I think we saw when he gave his little
his speech.
Oh, that smile. Oh, Mama, that was the craziest smile I have ever seen in my entire life.
Let's get a visual on it.
Where is my camera right now? That was which camera's mine? This one, this one,
this one here.
This one. That was the craziest smile. It was so forced. I've never seen somebody just have such a disingenuous smile. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of crazy.
You're right. Now that we're getting a visual up for the
I
don't
think he has a good smile to begin with, but like that was wild. Like, I don't know.
But they put him in the hard hat and everything, Dylan.
Oh my God.
What do you mean this isn't an authentic smile? What do you mean?
Literally. Like, it was just like, oh, like waxy.
Yeah. It
Man.
it looks like I don't feel like he has a therapist in real life, because I feel like we wouldn't hear much of the trash we did if somebody
Uh,
was like, "I'm gonna just
a
sit you down
conservative
for
man not having a therapist? Oh my god.
revolutionary."
A
Crazy.
conservative white man not having a therapist. Who could have guessed that? That's crazy.
It would be like somebody was like, "I'll give you a cookie afterwards if you smile,"
Oh,
though. Like,
100%.
this is like the smile you have when you're angry as a kid and then your parents take you somewhere and they're like, "Be nice to your aunt," and you're like, "Hi."
Oh, that's just like it's the face of like I've done fucked up.
I've done
Like
fucked up.
I've done fucked up.
It's the face your dog makes when they like eat all your shit, rip up the couch, and then they're like,
This is
"Who, me?"
this is when you have to go for the family photo after you just got in a screaming match with the family in the car, and everyone is so uncomfortable, and it's just like, just smile and get through this. We can all talk about it the second we shut that door,
Yeah, yeah.
but just put on a good face. That's what that is.
It is, and it's
Yeah.
a Canadian heritage moment, a piece of
Oh my-
put up there with the house hippo. This is a Canadian heritage moment.
Oh my god, literally.
Losing his writing. I do love that the man who beat him in his writings, last name is Fanjoy.
What's the tea behind that? Like, is there like a website that's named Fanjoy, or what? Like, what is it? Like,
No,
just,
like that's actually I think his legit government name.
Okay.
But I just love that. Like that's just it sounds like a storybook.
okay.
Wrote,
I thought there was some sort of like
somebody-
lore behind it, where I was like, oh god, is this some sort of like
No.
website that like?
The only lore I've seen. Am I on some fan fiction right
well,
now?
well, that's why I was like, I don't know. Is this like some like I am so chronically online, like
Yeah.
where if you miss.
It's so sad that you're so chronically online that you just can't take real information as real.
Oh, 100%. Like there's certain things with like if I miss a day on Twitter, I'm just like, wait. I was like, okay, so a bowl of ice with banana peel. What did I miss?
Right.
Oh, it's like incel white man.
It's a white man does
Yeah.
morning routine or what? Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's so funny. No, I loved his face then. But apparently this Fanjoy guy, he's been campaigning in that riding for the last like 2 years, like been knocking on doors. So he's definitely put in the work. But then I was on like conservative threads by accident, and I saw like it was like somebody calling Fanjoy the R word, and then somebody else responded to it in like a perfect way that was like, "Oh yeah, I think the very the very new right take of just calling somebody the R word is really gonna like hit home here." It's like,
Exactly.
oh my goodness.
Oh god.
Oh my goodness. That was an iconic moment for me. I also loved Mark Carney dancing to Down with Webster.
Oh,
Like, they were doing the W.
The TikToks
Like,
coming out of it are so good because to compare him to Phil Dunphy is perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect. It's so spot on that you can't even like WTF what the face. I'm like, yeah. I also forgot how good Modern Family was. That was like that's a peak show. I mean, I don't know if it ages really well, to be perfectly honest, but like it had its moment. It had its moment.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, if I was at a wedding and someone's uncle got on the dance floor and was
Yeah.
acting like this, I'd be like, I'm gonna dance with them.
You know what
Like,
it is? It's just wholesome, is what it is. Like it's just like it's so innocent. It's a little cringy, but not to the point where you feel embarrassed. It's just like, you know what? Like this is just exactly what we needed culturally. Like
Yeah.
this, like it is. Like we needed like some sort of like calm. And that's like when his speech, like even just starting out with his wife, like
Yes.
introducing him, I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Like this is what we needed. Like, and you could see like Pierre Poilievre came out before,
Yeah.
and it was like, okay, like once again, like just.
It was exactly what it was nothing you didn't expect.
Well, I was waiting to see whether he was gonna like properly concede or not, and I knew when I was watching him give his speech that he was gonna double down on not giving up the leadership,
Yeah.
because he wanted to plant the seeds of like not giving that up.
Yeah. I did not think for a second he was going to resign.
I don't
Like I was like, there is no way that
Well-
he would. Like maybe at some point, but I was like, there's no way on this night when everyone's watching would he be
what's really
humble
interesting.
enough.
Yeah,
To,
it's just like, you know what, like I'm just glad that I think people need to remember this too with a federal candidate. Like you're having someone who represents the country, like
Mhm.
globally,
Yeah.
also what they do, how they present themselves also trickles down to how people think is acceptable. Like that's why it was so important for Mark Carney to get elected. Like whether you agree with him or not, if you're more progressive and you're like, I don't think he's right. If you're on right wing, it's what the tone is for the country. Like
Right.
2016, when Trump got elected, the second that man got elected, it opened the floodgates to what people thought that they could say to your
Yes.
face. Like you
Yeah.
saw literally 24 hours after he got elected, the white supremacists walking in the streets. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know
You're right.
what.
Even though these leaders are almost like theoretical
Yeah.
in some way
Mhm.
and aren't embedded in community the same way a more
Yeah.
local politician might be, they have these like very dramatic impacts on like just the symbolism of how we talk to people,
Yeah.
what it's okay to say,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, I personally, like, I was very fearful of what would happen with a candidate like Pierre Poilievre getting in, especially with trans people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't need that type of fear mongering to occur. We don't need that type of division.
Right.
Like, it's a very legitimate threat
Mm-hmm.
when you have someone like that standing there with their full chest being like, there's only two genders.
Yeah.
Like just using the same talking points you're seeing out of America. Essentially, like, I don't want to quote that he said two genders, but like, he
Yes,
like he just
but even just what you'll tolerate within your own base and within your own party.
Exactly.
Like there are people within the party that believe that. There
Exactly.
are people within the party that are still tabling things related to abortion, trying to ban access to that. And it's when you don't take a stand on these things, then you're complicit. And you can, I mean, that party.
Well, that's why I say, like, even like I understood why people went conservative with Trudeau. I get it. I mean, I have family members who, like, I collectively too, like, everyone has to be
Your
mindful.
offspring of the F Trudeau.
Well, it's just like, oh my God, no. I have made sure that
This is my flag.
and in my group, in my little core, everyone's on the same page for the most part. Well, you know what I mean? Like, you know what it's like with people and families sometimes. But I was just really, I was really clear with where I stood on this election, where, you know,
Yeah, I was really confused watching your TikToks. Like I was like, I don't know what he believes. He's so demure.
well, I mean, my thing is like, again, I understood why people went towards not Carney, Pierre Poilievre when Trudeau was in office, because
Right.
you know what, regardless of any political candidate, after 9 years, it does
Yeah,
get
we're
annoying.
done. We're done.
And there was a lot of like
Yeah.
performative shit that Trudeau did. Like, let's just be honest. Like, there were things that he did that I just found were so disingenuous. It was like, I think him taking a knee at the Black Lives Matter protest is the perfect embodiment of what kind of politician he was, where he literally was out here like with the people. And it's like, no, Diva, we're the people. You're the politician. You go in there and you do the policy so that what we're demanding you like can implement to the country, right? So you being out here doing a knee, it's like, hey, thanks, but that's not what we really need entirely. Like, we need you to go back to work.
Yeah, right.
like we can take the knee because we're the everyday people whose like tax dollars go towards you doing your job.
Yeah.
And so again, like, I mean, that's just one example, but there's
So
like
that'd be one of your critiques of him, is that he was too performative. And
there were certain things where it's like, like again, like, like I think he, like, for a morale purpose, like I said it to you when we met the first time. I was like, I think he would have been a really great UN representative of Canada.
Right, yeah.
Because he did represent Canada great on the global stage. But meanwhile, what was going on back here, a lot of people were, they're struggling. There's certain things, for example, like around conversations of immigration. It's like there's some people who felt so gaslit where it's like, if I'm struggling here as a Canadian and I've lived here my whole entire life and I can't find a home to live in, why are we bringing more people into the country when we don't have X amount of houses to fulfill that?
Right.
Right. So it's like, and people felt so dismissive around having those responsible conversations.
Right.
And so I understood why they went to Carney, because you would see those one-liners on TikTok, social media.
Poilievre, you mean?
Poilievre.
Yeah.
My God.
I was like, I think that's not what you meant to
Nope.
say.
I'm out. I'm out.
Thank you. That's been great. Axe the tanks there, everybody. Yeah.
Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. This was all a setup.
But we got you. Yeah.
I was a secret Poilievre supporter this entire time. It's out.
He pulls off the Scooby-Doo mask.
It's
Like,
out. This has been one big setup.
You're the only queer man to ever live that supports it. No.
Funny enough, I'm not though.
No, I know.
That's the craziest part.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. But
the amount of women in my comment section being like, voted blue for my daughter, and I'm like,
yeah,
pardon? Like,
wild.
yeah. Leave your daughter out of this.
Don't bring her into this.
Yeah, no, she's just an innocent girl that wants to play. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. But sorry, you were saying that you understood why people gravitate towards that kind of messaging.
Well, I understood it. I understood it at the beginning when Trudeau was like in office, and I was shocked that he resigned, because I really thought he was going to take the party down with him, which is what we saw with Jagmeet Singh. To be perfectly honest, like, he is what Trudeau could have done to the Liberal Party because Jagmeet Singh should have resigned long before this.
Mm-hmm.
His polling was down. There was people who were more progressive, like myself, were going to vote liberal because of the fear of conservatives going in office.
Yeah.
Like it's a more mindful voter base.
Yeah.
So
it is interesting because I did see, I mean, let's talk about the NDP.
Yeah.
What did you think of him resigning, and what did you think of that speech that he gave?
I mean, I think it was. I have mixed feelings. I think he's he's a decent person. Like
Also, to preface for everybody, Dylan, you've been quite critical of the NDP.
Oh, 100
well, as you are of everybody.
I'm
but you've
critical
been
of
quite-
every party. Like this is the thing with me. Like I can say like I like Mark Carney. This is why it's so funny when you see certain things written about me online, like with people being like, oh, like you're a liberal pawn. It's like I'm critical of everyone, which I think every person in this country should be critical.
Sorry,
of
it wasn't liberal pawn. It was what was
Quote
it?
it. Let's get the headline.
It was profane TikTok host.
Profane. Ooh. Literally, like, oh my god, profane. What a word choice. My god. Let's open a thesaurus, shall we?
It's right next to ripe.
Oh my but yeah, I'm critical of every political party. I think every person should be critical of their parties, and I think that's shifted a little bit with this election. Because it felt very much like a two-party situation.
Yeah.
And I think because we have more than two parties, typically is where you see people being more critical of their politicians because there's the ability of being like, I didn't like liberal, so I went NDP,
Yes,
or if you live in Quebec, for example, you're like, I support the Bloc Québécois for the preservation of like French and culture, that aspect. So I'm very critical of every party. And my thing is like, if you are going to try to reach out to me, which is what the NDP try to do both provincially and federally. For provincially, I think they thought we were like besties, being like, oh my god, like so funny, and it's like, no, like what are you doing? Like like why are you here? You can't be here,
Right?
Yeah.
And do you want to explain for people who maybe haven't seen your commentary on it? I mean, a lot of it I know for you was around Palestine.
Yeah, I
and-
mean, for me, like when it came to it's very funny because like the whole conversation around like Gaza and like I specifically remember saying like when October 7th first happened, I was like, I'm just not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole because of what has been ingrained in us for so long to like not have these conversations. So I was like, I'm just gonna let this kind of like speak. And then I was like, oh wait, no, because we have access to information now and we can see what's going on in real time. What's going on is like not right. It doesn't make any sense. And I think the most the most validating point to me at least is that anytime you see Doug Ford take a stance where it supports the opposition here, it's like, oh yeah, you are like, this is the definitely wrong situation if Doug Ford is out here saying like this is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, my issue with
but
the
for
NDP,
you with the NDP,
the NDP was that they removed Sarah Gemma because she put out a simple statement calling for a ceasefire and referencing the UN, which I was like, okay, so now we're invalidating the UN. Like, I'm sorry, like, what are we doing? It was just it was a completely like unnecessary move.
Yeah.
And
also like to that voting base to alienate people who are trying to bring light to that cause and justice and like around humanity.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole thing with the NDP. Like they feel so lost in this in this moment, like both provincially and federally now. They feel so lost because everything shifted right the second that Poilievre started to cater to I want to say the disinformation mill. Like the second he started doing that, everything shifted right. But I really think the NDP should have just stayed left. And it's like, we're not going to hold, like, we're not going to be the prime minister, or we're not going to like hold office like in the way that, is going to be like major, but we're going to stand on business because that's what we were elected to do. That's what we were formed to do. And to see them kind of throw their moral compass out is like, it was disappointing. And that's why like even seeing Jagmeet Singh give his like speech, I was like, I mean, I feel bad. Like, it's really sweet what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like I don't know how you didn't think that this was going to happen.
I know. In some ways, I don't know if it could have been avoided because I was listening to some commentators on the news say that, he in some ways signaled to his supporters, like, we need to do anything we can to like not have the Conservatives win. And like, that's the ship they sank on. And like, I mean, realistically, if they would have gotten the same support they would have had in the last election, we would have been waking up to a Conservative minority.
Oh, 100%.
Which is just interesting in general that like there's let's bring back the Reformed Party on the right. Like, like
Well,
let's get some division on that side.
here's my issue with the NDP and their messaging. Like, I think a perfect example of like third party messaging is the Bloc. The
Mm.
Bloc, they're out here. They're like, we're not gonna be the prime minister,
Right. Yeah,
but
they
we're
lead with that.
well,
Yeah.
exactly, and it's reality though. It's true. Like like the whole country in Canada, like I respect the French culture. I think it's actually what makes Canada like
Mm-hmm.
really like slay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say another word, but I was like, that might be a little bit too much for this demographic. But I was like,
I saw all these memes that were like, "Forgive me, Quebec." Like I wasn't familiar with your game.
yeah.
Like,
Well, and, like I love Montreal. Like I when you go there, it's like, oh, like this is exactly why there needs to be a preservation of this culture because it's like you
it's
get
so distinct.
yeah, and like I know it's so nice to have like that European like factor or like culture into our country because the second you cross the border back to Ontario, you're like, oh, we're farm people. Like you cross
That's what we have.
you cross that
Yeah.
threshold, you're like, oh, we are farm people. Like this is like culture European. You cross over, you're like, welcome back to McDonald's and like back to like fast food. Like I'm like, oh, this is like not it. I mean,
Ontario gets real rural. Real
oh
quick.
yeah, it gets like real American, like America.
America. Yes. Yeah.
But I just the Bloc has like such a like it's very clear and it's realistic. The NDP in this election should have been the exact same way, where it's like, you know what, we're gonna stand behind the party that is going to hold office, so we can work collaboratively. They got real cocky when they joined with the Liberal Party. I think they got a little delusional, a little bit cocky, where they're like, "Oh, like we are like top shit," and it's like,
Interesting.
I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like you do have power there, but
Yeah.
like you're not the power.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I also do wonder too, like this isn't a unique take to me, but so many progressives voted Liberal this
Mhm.
time. And a commentator I heard on the news was saying it as in like NDPers loaned their vote to him
Mhm.
this time. So like who knows
Yeah.
if Mark Carney runs again in another election
Mhm.
or if the Liberal, like it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out of like do people
Well-
go back to, because if you're a progressive voter,
Mhm.
he was kind of seen as the only viable option.
Yeah.
And it is unfortunate because there's so many existing issues that
Yeah.
have been persistent long before we had any of this Trump stuff in the
Yep.
conversation. And so obviously I understand for a lot of reasons why this election was about that single issue,
Mhm.
but it's a real discredit to climate, Indigenous communities,
Yeah.
all the existing social and economic challenges
Yeah.
that we're dealing with. I mean, even in watching the debate, the only time Indigenous communities were mentioned at all was with respect to mining their critical minerals and working with them as partners in
Yeah.
that process. But other than that, no mention. Very different from
Mhm.
a 2015 debate or even the 2019 debate, right?
Mhm.
And like, anyways, I don't know if you have any new take,
I don't know.
take
Well,
on that, but
my concern, especially to see what's been, because every so often I will go on to like the further right side of social media just to see what's going on there.
just to be a little anthropologist.
well, 'cause you know
a
what,
little
like-
dilly checking in on everybody. Wellness check, bestie.
yeah. I mean, because it's just like it gives you an idea of what's going on there. Because I think like when you don't acknowledge that like entirely, like you're caught off guard. You're like, oh, this is actually what's been going on. Meanwhile, it's been there.
Right.
So I was looking at some of the commentary and they're like, oh, you know what, like this was actually really good for us, everyone. Like we actually like even though we lost, it showed that like we have a really big presence, so give it 4 years and we're coming back stronger. And my only concern federally is that if Pierre Poilievre stays as the leader, this will be our version of like, I think this election was Biden versus Trump for the federal election, I think, because I mean, two old straight white men combating.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of what Biden was for people, like a very like centrist candidate.
Right.
So if
If the
Pierre,
next
if
one's
if
more,
Poilievre
yeah.
stays as leader, I feel like we might have like a Kamala Trump situation, and do you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
voter base is just going to look for any reason to galvanize and like start festering, and so that's my only concern with that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting though because I have really close family friends who are from the UK, and they were actually living in the UK when Carney was the governor of England, and so that's like they were like, no, like Carney needs to be the prime minister for Canada because he's gonna sort shit out.
Interesting that they
And-
had that take of him
yeah.
from his previous experience. Yeah.
And it's the fact that people need to realize with political leaders, the election's not where politics starts and ends. Like
of course.
you want a candidate that you can work with. Carney, like if there's pressure there, for sure. Like I feel like there can be definitely like, and he even acknowledged that. I'm not saying like, oh, like a politician's gonna follow through with their word. Like that's delusional. Like my God, like he said.
What do you mean?
He said he was gonna do
oh my
that.
God, no! I thought I was gonna fall in love with the first man I ever had sex with. He told
exactly.
me. He told me we were gonna get married.
A man lies, but. The thing with like politics that people need to be mindful of is like, the campaign is not where politics ends. You want to find a candidate that you can get essentially what you want from your agenda or what your tax dollars are going towards. So like, for example, I've seen some progressives online being like, when he became the prime minister before the federal election, but the liberal leadership race, he was, someone said that he removed the equity minister. And it's like, see, like, that's where now you bring that back to his attention and you say, hey, babe,
right,
we need that back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because don't be abandoning progressive politics completely. I feel like in the mind of a banker, because I do, you wouldn't expect that from me, but I do have crossover with people who work in that industry. Their intention when they're not like a bigot, when they're just like a, kind of like very on par with Mark Carney in some ways, the intention is wholesome, but it's just like they don't know better. So it's like that's why it's important to pressure those people and be like, hey,
well, and that's the biggest, I think, challenge for him, right? Is like transitioning from like advisor economist to prime minister politician, because as that elected official, you're meant to weigh all of these things. And of course, economics is important, especially if you come from that background. But that is like one piece of the pie of things that you're weighing. 100%. And so you have to take like you're supposed to have blinders on when you're a specialist. You have to take them off when you're being a little bit more.
Which on that note, I want to say to people who are like the biggest talking point with Mark Carney being the advisor to Trudeau, that's an advisor. I can advise you.
Yeah, you're advising me right now. You're advising the whole overstimulated fam. Yeah.
Like to the people like who like to comment bigoted shit, it's like I can advise you to shut up, but you're gonna do whatever you want. So it's like like you can like you do whatever you want with the information. Like however Trudeau and previous governments handled that advising, that is on them. You know what I mean? Like don't place that shit on someone else.
For sure. Yeah,
like that's like trying to get your friend out of a bad relationship, and it's like, why didn't no one tell me? It's like. We did. We literally did.
We advised you several times.
We actually sat you down so many times, Emily, but you just kept like going back to him. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
You're on your own there, bestie.
Literally. So it's wild.
But going back to the piece of Trump, like, were you finding, like, did that influence how you personally voted based on your audience? Like, were you hearing that from people that was a huge issue for them and that changed how they voted?
Well, I think the reality of Trump is, it's funny because I was actually, my mom, like the person who I talk to with politics all the time is my mom, because I think she's the one who can like, I don't know, handle.
Wait, I love that. Everyone go talk politics with your mom.
Oh, 100%. Because you know what, like, because my mom also like she lives in the suburbs, so like what she says gets trickled down to around like other people as well. But the reality of Trump is a threat, though. Like, I think it's funny when they're like, oh, like, the whole America thing, like he really ran with that, and it's like, well, no, that's a legitimate threat. Like another country saying they're gonna take over your country, like that's not like haha funny. Like let's just like have a kiki. Like no, like
well,
what?
Let's just pretend that didn't happen.
That's like literally if you are like at like the function and you're like, what if I slept with your boyfriend? And it's like, wait, what? Like no, like we're not like why did you say that? Why did you say that? Like we have to unpack that now because that was really fucking weird. Why did you say that? And so like you know what I mean? Like it's just like so out of pocket where you're like, okay, no. The only person, like it's funny because people like to talk about the use of like Trump when voting on the federal level. They're like, oh, like with like that influenced the vote.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I'm just gonna bring that back to like provincial politics. People like to talk about that weaponization or like the use of Trump with the federal election when there's actually like that's a proper like concern for a federal leader. The only issue I have with that was when provincially you had Doug Ford and the Conservatives using that talking point, and then it's like, oh,
the hats.
It's like, oh, so now that's not an issue, or like you know what I mean? Like that wasn't an issue there, but now it's an issue. Like, if anything, why was your premier running like he was gonna run like govern the country?
Right.
So it's like I just find with conservatives in general, it's like they're deeply unserious. It's never about the issues. It's never about anything like that. So I don't know when it came.
Speaking of conservatives, did you see this speech that I think it was an Oshawa MP was popping? A conservative MP who was just newly elected was absolutely popping right off at Doug Ford.
Election and this riding certainly among
I didn't
them.
see this.
Much of it
It's
was
comedic
former
gold.
Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole's riding in the by-election following his resignation. It was Jamil Jivani who won that, and Jamil Jivani
This was
winning
so
again
unprompted,
tonight.
by the way, too.
Congratulations,
Thank
first
you
of
very
all.
much. Yeah, we have a great team here in Bowmanville, Oshawa.
Okay, I just want to say, first of all, the way that this man's head is, so, I'm not knocking bald men. I have knocked bald men before. That's well documented. But the way that he's like so bald
Oh my
and his like
God.
nose and eyes are all so close together, like you have to pick a lane on this one.
Oh
like
God.
you're giving like evil superhero.
Oh my God.
Anyways, I'll only drag my own look
Very
when I don't
excited
agree with
and happy to
them.
bring home a victory.
I do want to ask you, Mr. Jivani, because you've just spoken to your supporters, a large group that's here at the pub here in Bowmanville, North Oshawa, and you said to them, among
Thank you.
other things, that Doug Ford was a problem for you in this campaign. You said that he sabotaged the Conservative campaign. That's your words. You said he was a hype man for the Liberals. Take me through how you see that.
Yeah, well, look, Doug Ford just went through an election. I have differences of opinion with him. I don't like how he's managed healthcare or education, but out of respect, we didn't say anything. Federal party, we didn't get in his way. When it was our turn to run an election, he couldn't stay out of our business, always getting his criticisms and all his opinions out, distracting our campaign, trying to make it about him, trying to position himself as some kind of political genius that we needed to be taking cues from.
Was it him specifically? Was it his campaign manager,
Is
Corey?
this the first time you agree with a Conservative MP?
I mean, well, because it's true. Like this is the funniest thing. It's like this is why I say like I don't align with a political party. Like if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever. Like conservatives, stop being problematic.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean. Like stop trying to like go after like queer people. Like simple as that. Like I won't have an issue with it. Also like like it's. I mean, if that's not the pot calling the kettle black though, where it's like
Yes.
like going after healthcare and shit. It's like okay, as if like you guys aren't
We've
going to do
done
that.
doing this,
As if like
yes.
you guys aren't going to do that
Yes.
federally. Like
well,
okay.
and they have done it federally in the past. It was like I think in 2011, Stephen Harper's Conservative government tried to take away because healthcare for refugees is considered federal or like they have
Yep.
implications. They tried to take away healthcare from refugees, and our courts were like, "No, you can't, babe. You can't do that." So
Exactly.
we've been there. We've done that. We've tried that.
Yeah.
There's one more video, Dylan, I want to show you to lighten the mood up a little bit. That we're gonna play a quick game. But did you by chance see?
I saw a brief moment of this.
This is the most Canadian thing I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
I hope this is the kind of love I want, you know, where like even though my party is in shambles, I'm still like, babe, get up here with the guitar. We're doing a song. It's like
Oh my
I feel like this is
God.
like the same thing if like somebody was like performing at their own divorce.
Fair,
You know, like they
fair.
were like, hey, let's just give it one last good
I
one.
unfortunately know people who literally look like this, and the second they have a guitar out, you're like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a night. In the sense where it's like, okay, so they're gonna be performing at you, not for you, type of situation. It's like, okay, yep, buckle up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Dylan, I want to play a game with you
Okay.
now. Okay. I'm calling it politician name, Canadian politician name or stripper name.
Mhm.
Okay? Because some of them are out there.
Okay.
And I was going to say no disrespect to the community, but also disrespect to everyone on this list. Okay, I've got some names for you.
Okay.
And then I want you to tell me if you think it's a politician name or if they should really be a stripper name.
Okay.
Okay. Burton Bailey.
That's politician.
Yeah.
Yeah. White man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Red Deer, Alberta.
Yeah. I was like, that's white man.
But I feel like Burton Bailey, like the I don't know, any
I don't
alliteration.
know.
I mean Hillary Henderson, like
Okay.
any alliteration. I'm like, get on stage, take them off.
I feel like we have different interpretations of what stripper names are,
Oh,
though.
okay.
Okay.
Well, these were the best ones I could find.
Okay.
Looking at the House of Commons
oh
on
my-
that page. Okay.
You're like, I'm so sorry that someone's not like their name isn't Candy, like something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like something.
I'm actually really sad nobody for office is named Huge Breasts.
I mean, honestly, like that is the future that liberals want.
Yeah,
that's what we want. That's what we want.
There's no Stacy stop sign or
Literally, like
something.
I mean, like
Okay, what about Terry Beach? Terry Beach.
Terry Beach.
Beach. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds stripperish.
Stripper-ish.
Yeah.
Stripper adjacent. What
Stripper
about
adjacent.
Stephen Bonk?
Okay, that's stripper.
That's stripper.
Yeah.
That's stripper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a politician. Where's he from again?
Wait, is that actually a politician?
Yeah, it is.
Oh shit. Okay.
Let's get a visual on Stephen Bonk. Stephen Bonk is a Conservative MP from Saskatchewan.
Oof. Oof. Oof.
Probably would not bonk personally,
Mm.
but I like his tenacity in it.
Okay. Like message to his parents.
Yeah.
Like, okay, good, like that's like good for you. Like, I guess, I don't know.
Okay, what about Leslie Church?
Leslie Church?
Yeah.
That's politician, right?
That's politician.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she was in the riding that just flipped from conservative to liberal in Toronto, St. Paul's.
Oh, right.
That was the one that went conservative after the by-election.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Connie Cody?
That's stripper.
That's stripper. Okay, that's what I was thinking too. Let's get a visual on Connie Cody. Connie Cody, conservative from Cambridge, Ontario.
Okay, fierce.
Fierce. She looks, moonlights as a stripper. Daylights as a manager of a Facebook admin for
liberal or
local
conservative?
moms. Conservative.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I was for a second, I was gonna say, like, well, like, let's not.
Oh, wait,
let's not go in on her.
Conservative.
And then I was like, well, actually, hold on. Well, then
no,
again, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, conservative. Okay, what about Rosemary Falk?
That's stripper.
There are 2 politicians currently in our new parliament that have the last name Falk.
Like family?
Well, I don't know if they're related. They're from different parts of the country, but like it's spelled Falk. Rosemary Falk is a Saskatchewan conservative MP.
Are these all conservatives?
Well,
like is
not
this,
all of them.
Is this,
not
is
all
this
of
the recurring
them,
theme
but,
here? They're all
their names just like
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was because the left had like too many names that were just like not white
Normal.
names that you could put into like, you know, like they expanded their base to reflect Canada, and I'm
there was diversity in the name.
There was diversity in the names.
There was diversity. So like, yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, maybe in another language it sounds like something silly, but I'm like working off of the white bread names I could find, like Falk.
T.
You know?
T.
So this is Rosemary Falk, and then this is her potential. I wonder if like they would get together and be like, hey, we're representing the Falk clan here in Ottawa.
Not the clan.
Ted Falk is
Ooh.
a conservative MP from Winnipeg. No, sorry, he was born in Winnipeg. Where the hell is he?
I just think it's so funny
He
for
looks
the
a little
party
scary.
for the party that actively was so against dental care. It's like a lot of these people could benefit. Do you know what I mean? Like the people who were like out here like so up in arms about dental care. It's like diva.
Right.
It's like you literally have, well, first of all, you have like government coverage. You guys can't come out here with like a little
Invisalign, nothing.
Like a little something.
Like,
like my God.
That's right. That's right. Even just like a swish of Listerine every once in a while might
like
help you out.
Something.
That, and they were so against childcare, and it was like, well, you want everyone to have such large families.
Oh my
Like,
God.
what do you mean?
Literally.
Like, well, I know what they mean, but you know, we don't like that thing. Okay, what about Mona Fortier?
Mona Fortier?
Yeah, Mona.
That's politician.
That's politician. Yeah, she's a liberal politician. Okay, what about Heidi Fry?
Heidi Fry?
Yeah.
That sounds stripperish.
That sounds stripperish. Let's get a visual on Heidi Fry. This is Heidi Fry.
What does it say? Has the comments?
Haiti? I'm not sure. She is, I think, liberal from... She's originally from Trinidad and Tobago. She's 83 years old. Girl, retire, please.
It gets to a point. It gets to a point.
Where it's like, oh my God, if half of our government has dementia, then like, is that what we want? Is that the future we need?
Oh my God.
MP from Vancouver Centre.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which also, let me just say, anyone can be a stripper, by the way. Like I am very big on supporting the sex work community.
Yes.
Like literally, you do whatever you can to get your coin right now. Like recession indicators left, right, and center right now. You do whatever you can.
That's right. That's right.
Biggest recession indicator I saw last night was literally Snooki falling off a couch in a club, and I was like, oh, we're back. We're so back. Like literally, ice bucket challenge going viral again.
Yeah.
Snooki in a club falling backwards. We're back.
We're back.
We're so down bad
everyone's
right now.
doing like the Snooki poof with their hair.
Oh my God.
Skinny jeans are back also now.
See, that's just gonna send me over the edge.
Yeah.
I just got comfortable with like the idea of not being restricted.
Right.
Like I just got over that trauma for like from 2014.
Okay, I have one more name for you, Dylan. Alex Ruff.
That sounds stripper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruff with a double R or double F at the end. Alex Ruff. Ooh. I was hoping it would be like Alexis Ruff, like you know how when like Mo.
Woof. Ooh.
Dylan, I'm dead. Oh, he's conservative from Owen Sound.
Ooh.
Sorry, is this, so he's in driving distance. Does that change your mind?
No.
No. His grinder goes off. He's
Oh,
like,
My God, I would love to know what the discourse is with like Ottawa and the grinder scene. I've never, because like in
right.
in DC, like
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
really
yeah.
big thing in
Yeah.
America. Like there's so many closeted men
I'm sure it has to be the same
on the apps.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to what's going on there.
Maybe you need to be our brave soldier that investigates.
You know me. I'm willing to be that person. I'm always willing to be that person.
You're
to stir
literally
the
gonna
pot.
put your ass on the line.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be the first time I've done it. Like, let's just be honest. Like, I've done way worse.
That's
Like,
so funny. That's
Yeah.
so funny, Dylan. Oh my God. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Given the Order of Canada medal
Yes.
for his investigative work.
oh
That's
my
funny.
God.
Oh my God. Okay, speaking of dating in life, I want to get to know you a little bit more as a
Okay.
person. We'll get back to the election things later. We're
Me-
like,
me as a person.
meet you as a person. Are you single? What's that like right now?
Yeah.
Do you like a bald man such as Alex Ruff?
Oh, I mean, listen, when it comes to men in general, like I'm fine with any type. Like, I don't have like a specific genre of man I like.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's very much someone who has like, for me, it's personality. You can't be out here being so bigoted and small minded.
Mm-hmm.
I found since I moved to the city, like cutoff for me when it comes to friendships, but also like I'm always like I walk on eggshells is white gay men over 35. That to me is like always a demographic that comes out of nowhere with like the most problematic takes.
Oh, interesting.
Where I'm just like, oh, okay, like where did that come from? Like when I moved to the city, I was like meeting people and like trying to like expand a friend group a little bit, and there was just some like the two men back to back, white men over 35. Actually, I want to say 2.5 because this one person I had a falling out with, white men over 35, and they just have a really weird view on trans people when it comes to just more progressive things. And I think their progress starts and ends with themselves being a gay man, where they're just like, yeah, like, like, I think we did it. And it's like, what?
They're high fiving each other.
Literally,
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, we did it. We can like we got to watch Drag Race in a bar, and it's like, okay, but no, like what, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like there's a lot to unpack there, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very happy being single. I am single. Like I date, I meet up with men like online, like I'm on the apps and stuff. Which
soon to be in Ottawa, coming for you.
Oh God. Well, like,
Just-
and like my thing is like the worst part is like being on the apps and then people recognizing you from
Oh,
like,
has that happened?
oh
Yeah.
like it's getting to a point where it's like almost like meet and greet territory because I keep forgetting how like when I meet up with my friends too, they're like, oh, you're like on the For You page, like the Toronto For You page every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't intend for that to
Yeah.
happen, but because I show up there, and especially since I've been posting my TikToks to Reels, like it's really hitting with like the Toronto community.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more of like a turnoff to me when someone's like, oh, I love your political content, and I'm like, thanks. Nothing's gonna happen now.
Yeah.
Nothing is gonna happen.
Like, you've seen too much.
Oh, I've said it. I was saying it to a friend earlier this week. I was like, me on TikTok, Megan Trainer, like all about that base, family friendly. Sure. I mean, you can like share with your friends and family. It's a little spicy every so often. Me on those apps, Megan the Stallion. Like that's like a literally different person. Like there's no crossovers there.
Yeah.
Like I'm so like again.
You're not dating that person, just so you
oh,
know.
well, it's just like what you see there is just like not me here on the app. Like and. It's
But
just,
maybe like at least like they at least align with you politically, right?
oh well, I
or
mean,
like I don't know, maybe you want like a conservative daddy to
I don't
like
know. I mean, like, here's my thing. Like, when I find like with those apps, it's very interesting because if you're out on like, say, Grindr, Sniffies, I always like it's the most like pick me people sometimes where they're like, I just can't find like a relationship there. I'm like, yeah, like Ryan, because you literally scrolled past 10 headless torsos. Like that's not like, you know what I mean? Like no wonder you're struggling right now.
Yeah, that's how you're trying to find love.
Like, but it is funny. I met some really great people from those apps though. Like it is how you interact with them.
Right.
Right. And I'm just at a point now where I'm very happy just being single. Like I enjoy men, I'm attracted to men, but I think about like since I moved to Toronto in my apartment, I'm like the idea of sharing a space with a man.
Yeah.
Oh
You
my
know, like
God.
you can barely share space with them online.
Oh.
I want to ask you a little bit more of your. Speaking of
Oh.
bald men over the age of white men over the age of 35,
God.
you're in a bit of TikTok drama right now.
But when am I not though? That's like I literally had someone, I think it was on Tinder. They were like, "Oh, you're the guy who complains online all the time," and I was like, "Well, fuck me." Like
I'm
I
trying
was
to
like,
educate and inspire, actually, but
I was like, I think based on my media kit, the bio says political commentary.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's. I mean, but
God, you're always complaining about things. You're like, oh, thank you.
Sorry that the world's crumbling.
Yeah. And you complained so hard that you pissed off a conservative commentator named Robin Skies. That's
Yeah.
who you pissed off.
Which I was like, I'm pretty sure I was on the verge of just blocking anyways. I get to those stages with like saying things online where it's like, do I just block or do I just like actually say something?
Right.
I don't know. Like it.
You had some stitches back and forth.
Yeah.
Recently.
Well, I had stitches.
Like,
I had stitches because I have no problem standing in business when it comes to that shit. Literally, him someone sending me a DM being like, oh, he's like made a video with your video. I'm like, okay, well
but
then.
didn't have the balls to stitch it.
Yeah, I'm like, just at me next time. I mean,
yes.
The thing with me is like, it's never that serious.
Yeah.
It's never that serious for me. Like, you know what it never was? That serious. Like, it's just, there's certain things where I just find like the conservative mindset of men, like male, especially white male conservatives, learn to be clever. Like, just learn to be clever. Like, it's just like so wild to me. Like, where like the demographic that like to complain about jokes, where are the jokes?
Right.
Where are the jokes?
Yeah.
Like, it's just
you can't even say anything, and it's like, well, then you be funny.
Well, I just feel like because I grew up on like with the generation of like Glee,
Yeah.
like that being like the formative shit for me, where like you would literally see like Naya Rivera's like character, like Santana, go in and just drag someone so like intensely and like into a point where it was just like oblivion.
Yeah.
You learn to like be like, you know,
I'm
quick.
just imagining like little Dylan watching that and being like, that's who I'm gonna be on the internet.
Formative. And like just learn to be like clever, learn to be funny. You know, like,
was that your main beef with Robin? Or?
I don't know. My whole thing is like, you know, I could see that there was an implication that he was trying to equate what happened in Vancouver to like the federal election. Was it completely there? There was another video I saw of his that he actually did backtrack and like say like provincially and shit like that. But like that video specifically, when you leave it open ended like that, like that's my issue.
Yeah.
Like, don't leave shit open ended like that, especially after a tragedy. Because I'm all for like government accountability, so things like this don't happen
100%.
again. But like, like if you're gonna come out here so quickly when the incident just occurred, be mindful with the wording.
Yeah.
Be careful with the wording. I mean, not to mention, I've also just seen other videos of his where he's just like, he's very problematic. It's not the first time he's done shit like that, so I know where the intention is, and I don't typically go in very directly on someone's like appearance, unless I know that they've already started to stir the pot, and I'm like, well, then you know, real knowledge is real. Let's
also, nobody can knock your appearance. Like, if anything, they'd be like, oh, sorry, Dan Levy's in the house. Like,
it wouldn't be the first time someone actually has knocked my appearance. I got team. What was it, like the Wish version of Dan Levy?
Okay, whatever.
Like, I mean,
also I'll take Wish.
Yeah.
I'll take the Wish version.
But like this, like the thing with me, maybe it's just like, I don't know, because it's not that serious to me. When someone does offer a hate comment to me, I take it as an opportunity to like make more content then.
Right.
So it's like, again, like, you know, like
it's benefiting you
exactly.
no matter what.
I mean, like the thing that at the end of the day is like what you see online, it's not real. Like it's not like that's not reality. That's not like the world we live in. Like more times than not, people won't say like that shit to your face.
Right.
I would have no problem saying it to your face.
Yeah.
I mean,
I personally.
like me personally, I have no problem going in on someone when you get to that point. And it's funny because I make political content where you see me go in like really quickly on someone. People assume that I always lead with politics when I'm like at a table.
Oh my God, no.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
I never lead with politics, and it's funny because it's the people who like to complain about politics in general, like where they're like, oh, like the left is doing blah, blah, blah. They're always the one who brings it to the table, and it's like, well, if you brought it to the table, then yeah, I'm going to make sure that this is sorted.
Yeah.
Like I usually
like you're not going to sit there if somebody else is saying something that you don't agree with or is like factually inaccurate.
I usually have like a 3-strike rule sometimes with people because like you can't like go like
everyone deserves grace.
I mean, perfect example, like just going back to the whole dating situation too. Like I met this one guy who literally through Grindr, like it was a hookup situation, and then like, you know, trying to make friends. He was over 35, but we went to Handlands together. And I was like, and I'd never been to Handland, so I was like, okay, like this is like a nice like experience, whatever. And we got to the island, and then he started to say problematic shit. And I was like, oh my God, I'm stuck on the island with a problematic person. I was like, what is going? And so I was like, okay, I was like,
That's the worst, where you're like, fuck, we gotta take the boat back. Like,
and so,
I can't just like.
And so literally I was like, okay, I was like, he said one problematic thing, let that slide.
Wait, this could actually be a great reality TV show now that I'm thinking about it. Like stranded with a Tory, or like stranded with a, like, all of a sudden you think you're hanging out with your friend, and then you're like on an island anywhere.
I think that's just called
Toronto Island.
That's just called Thanksgiving. That's called Thanksgiving every year. It's an annual show. Unfortunately, it's not broadcasted, probably because it gets too intense.
Yeah.
But I got stuck on the island with this guy, and like he just said like some really weird shit. Like it was just, again, out of pocket, and I wasn't expecting it. And so for the sake of like, and it's funny because it gets put on you as someone who's progressive, where you're like, okay, like I have to hold space for you because you're a bigot, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was like, the first thing was like him saying about Britney Spears' conservatorship. Actually, I think that was the second thing. The first thing, he said something about, it being a gay beach, and that, like, having women there is like really gross. And I was like, but I was like, first of all, it's a nude beach. If you're there, like if you're out there willing to be naked, you pass the vibe check.
Yeah.
You're literally like, you're there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a different breed of person. We're not going at home sense.
No.
And like, looking at the
just bearing it all.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, it's a very different person who's there. Not to mention, once again, like, there's trans people, there's non-binary people.
Yeah.
So it's like, however someone's body looks, why are we being weird? Like, and that's why I was like,
like, my understanding of Hanlands is like lesbians also will go there as well, right? Like, it's not just for gay men. Yeah.
And I mean, and that's
that was his thinking, though. He was like, we need to preserve this beach just for us.
100% it was.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, like, with white gay men over 35, their activism starts and ends with themselves being gay. Like, and I always find like the vibe check, like, to get a sense on someone is when you say queer. For some reason, there's a certain genre of gay man who gets so bothered with the word queer. And to me, like, I have no problem with it. I mean, I'm gay, so I'm like, sure, like, we're all queer, whatever. Like, it's just like things like that just don't bother me. But for some reason, it bothers them. And so for the 3 strike rule, like, he said that. I was like, okay, like, I just got to the island. I barely cracked open a fucking drink. Can we just like, like pull it back?
Like, have a nice day.
And then
can we just have a nice day?
Literally, like actually though. And then the second thing he said about Britney Spears' conservatorship, he's like, oh, like she needs to be like put back on it. And I literally was like, and like that's where, like, okay, I was like, now we're like infringing on like my ability to like hold shit back. Because I said, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Tell me a man who's been in a conservatorship. Tell me a man who's been in a conservatorship. Like, I'm sorry, Charlie Sheen, conservatorship.
I could give you some that should be.
Literally,
like...
literally. And so that's why I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh, well, she's crazy. And it's like, well, who did that though? Like, why do you think she's at this point?
Yeah.
So what? Like, the whole cycle of like oppression should exist because the byproduct of being controlled has made them crazy. Like, what are we doing? And so I think the straw that broke the camel's back for me, which is honestly so like I am not like a hardcore Swiftie, which is why this is so like out of character for me to like for this to be the one that broke it. But it got to a point where he's like, oh, what Scooter Braun did to Taylor Swift, perfectly fine. I see no issue. And I was like, what a weird fucking thing to say.
Oh.
What a weird thing to say. And this is someone who, actually, keep in mind, I believe he's like a manager of people too.
Ew.
And that's why I was like, this is a weird thing to say. You're being weird. Stop being weird.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, like, again, because I'm like in the arts and like design and shit, I'm like, having any sort of creative autonomy of your work, like that's like so important.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, no, you're being weird. I was like, it's like the most pick me thing to say. And like the thing with me is that once you cross my 3 strike rule, I start to get mean.
Oh.
And so then I start to do like really just like passive like shit to you. Which like it could be disguised as being funny, but like it just like my intention is that I know that I don't like you, so it starts to get like really jabby.
You stayed there for the rest of the day, but you were just given like.
Well, yeah, because I mean the water was nice and the weather was nice. I mean, like I'm not
gonna waste a good Saturday like an idiot.
Like I mean, you know what I mean? Like it was a beach day. Like obviously I'm gonna stay there. Like I paid my money for that ferry. I'm getting my money. Like you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's just that's like the way I work with.
Are you like a Sagittarius, or like I feel like you're giving fire sign energy with?
So I'm a Leo.
A Leo.
Yeah. Everyone says that it's very on brand for me. They're like that. They're like that. They're like that makes sense.
My jaw stayed put.
Yeah. Nobody flinched. There was not any sort of like gasp for air with that. Yeah, that's very on brand for me.
Yeah. I love it. Dylan, I do want to ask you, like, what's next for you, like career-wise, content-wise? Like, are you going to still make political content now that the election's done? Like,
I don't know. Well, the thing with my content is that I don't typically make it politically charged all the time. And I think that's why for me, like there's a good variety of
Yeah.
like sponsorships that come to my table, if you will, or my desk table. But like I
That
don't
big
know.
old desk you got
Right?
there. Slide
It's
it down there, another brand. Yeah.
that big old desk.
Yeah,
It's this little
same.
table.
My desk.
It's this little
The
table.
brand deal's like, I could all fit on this
Literally,
table.
exactly. This tiny little side table. The coaster, actually.
The coaster.
The
There's
coaster.
there's one balanced on
Yes,
it. Yeah.
it is. And this is taking up most of the space right now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't make a lot. Like I like to change things up. Like, and that's why like my content is very much based around like me.
Yes,
And it's not just like my content is like for the most part, it's however I feel that day. So like if I feel like talking about like cringy Toronto men, then yeah, like I'm making a video about that, which how I somehow managed to piss people off, which like that is like also funny. And like that's why I say like what man is bothered by me today?
Yeah.
Because it is what it is.
You wake up and you're like, who is it?
Exactly. So I don't know. I probably will make political content after this election, but it's never been like my my sole focus, which is why I don't typically take on sponsorships that are affiliated to politics, because I had a really bad fallout with that one time.
As we remember, should we reference it yet a fourth time? Or
Well, it's funny because like if like I mean to have a platform and speak on it. Because I did a sponsorship, like a collaboration with Canadian Heritage, which keep in mind that's like an independent government department. They were doing a Canada Day celebration. I needed a check.
Yes.
I needed a check. So I did like a little coverage of it. And then it got somehow taken by far right individuals being like, he's a liberal pawn. And I'm like, okay, well, if we're going off that, then what? Charlotte Cardin's also a liberal pawn? Because that's the same, like, it's the same organization that does that. Like, they hire artists to do the Canada Day celebration. Like,
or anyone who's received any sort of like public funding for any art project, which is like that's based at most artists. Because how else do you survive?
Yeah. So I mean, like it was a good learning moment though, because it's like, okay, you know what? Like I don't want to take anything on that's probably affiliated to anything political that could give people an excuse to question my content.
Yeah, let them question the content itself.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it's just like looking for an excuse to like invalidate someone. And again, like I'm not saying I'm 100% right all the time, and I'm not saying I'm like this political expert on things. Like the only reason why I know things about politics is because I am aware that I don't know things. When I don't know something, I go look it up.
For sure.
Like
Google, Wikipedia.
It's free.
It's free, babe.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Most like news sources, you can watch their programming, read their articles without having to pay anything.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
And so that's
ChatGPT's free.
Yeah. Oh my God. Not AI. I'm gonna unpack that one. We'll be here all day.
Me typing into ChatGPT, who should I vote? Oh my God.
Oh God.
I hope no one did that, by the way.
Oh God. Oh, someone probably did. 100%.
Wait, should I ask ChatGPT right now?
Oh,
who should I vote? I'm just kind of curious to see what it's gonna tell me.
I think there's an Australian election.
Oh yeah, there is on Saturday, I think.
I have never used ChatGPT ever.
Ever. Good for you.
I mean,
Keeps
I don't.
the brain sharp.
Well, I just don't mess with AI or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not my thing.
I will use it for like brainstorming things or just like helping me do like write emails and shit that I like don't feel too emboldened to do. Okay, so good answer, ChatGPT. It said, I can help you think through your options, but I can't tell you who to vote for. And then points to some things to consider: top issues, local candidates, party platforms, strategic voting. So okay. I honestly,
that's a good
great.
answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
It's a responsible answer.
Yeah, it's a very responsible answer.
Yeah.
Good job to the programmers on that one. Yeah. Another win for AI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me as a designer being like,
oh no.
not the AI being prompted up. This has all been one big setup. I'm still waiting for someone to jump out.
Yeah, just for now, because now that it's gained our trust, we're just like, no, AI is chill and neutral. All of a sudden, it's just gonna be like, by the way.
Exactly.
Something just like
oh my
awful.
God.
No.
But I don't really like to take on sponsorships that are like related to politics. So which is why I keep my content kind of all over the place. Like I've in the last little bit with being unemployed, like for my 9 to 5.
Right. Would you consider like Patreon or like a subscription based thing for the like more political content or like Substack, like that kind of thing?
I don't know. I think with politics, like it's one of those things where I don't want to like put any sort of paywall behind it, because it's just like
It feels like a good, like a public good, like
Yeah,
something to share.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like, people just being informed on politics
Yeah.
shouldn't be like put behind barriers. There should be like accessibility to it. Because I just
I've
know.
seen some political creators that like they don't necessarily put any content behind a
Mhm.
paywall, but they're like, "Hey, by the way, I do all this for free, and so if
Yeah.
you want to like buy me a coffee, like there's a link in my bio to like
Yeah.
donate $5 to
I
like
don't
what
know.
I'm doing."
I mean,
but
I do TikTok live where
Yeah.
like there's the option to like give gifts and then like that can manifest itself into like a gift card.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Like that's kind of how I would see like political content for me being monetized in
Cool.
some
Yeah,
ways,
yeah.
unless like some sort of like major news outlet or publication wanted to collaborate in that sense where there
Mhm.
was like legitimacy behind it.
Yeah.
Then sure. But the idea, I'm so cautious with what I take on when it comes to sponsorships. Like I had quite a few grassroots organizations reach
Mhm.
out to me for this election,
Yeah.
and more times than not, like I just turned it down,
Yeah.
or I just put a really high rate where it was like, you know what, if I'm going to take it on,
Yeah, it's gonna be
then
worth
it's
it.
going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
worth it for
yeah.
me because I
Yeah.
know the follow would happen. And perfect
Mhm.
example, like my digital footprint is essentially that one campaign that went wrong.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm very cautious with that.
Right.
But because I
And also to
also
be clear, I wouldn't even say it went wrong. It was just
no, but it was like
misunderstood and
it-
co-opted in like a
it
weird
was
way.
weaponized.
Yes.
Let's just like
Yeah.
it was weaponized against me.
Yeah.
But I also just I find politics for me can be mentally draining though.
Yeah.
Where I always like to take breaks from it, and I think everyone should go take like a break from it.
100%.
Like go touch some grass.
I know.
Like
Think
really,
about something else.
exactly.
I know.
And
I'm in the same boat as you though, by the way, because I think it's like, and I've loved using this space on the podcast to have some more of those conversations. And
Mhm.
especially like the audience is engaged people that
Mhm.
are young people in Canada. And like, I feel like we don't often get reflected in
Yeah.
any sort of this discourse or commentary. And so it's been so fulfilling to make a space for that. But even just like me personally, like wellness check, like I cannot be consuming the news
Yeah.
every single night.
Oh.
And also like, because in order to make something like interesting, engaging, and also for me funny,
Yeah.
then you need to understand it
Yeah.
deeply. And I just like, I don't have the time or the
Yeah.
brain space, quite frankly, to
Yeah.
do that constantly. And I mean, also like on a very real level, like you're saying finances, right? Like, I did a couple of advocacy org campaigns during this election season, one with Apathy is Boring, which is they're like an apolitical organization, just
Yep.
like trying to get young people to vote. And so I was
Yep.
like, cool, I'm like happy to work with you guys. And we did like a little series of like post the debate, a series that was like so fun to do. And I would have like done something like that anyway.
Yeah.
But other than that, like shits don't go and pay.
Yeah.
And like
Well, and that's
we
why
gotta eat.
well, and like that's why like I don't make my content so politically charged. Like that's why like I'm doing vlogs. That's why I'm also doing like skincare, like things that I enjoy. And I just base it around how I feel, and that seems to be resonating in some ways with a lot of brands and companies lately.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because pre-Trump, my content was only brand friendly during Pride. Where it's like we would love to work with you during Pride. Like, yes, Diva.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, right.
Like
You're
we are,
our token for this month.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. It's like, we love the way you sashayed your way into our For You page. Like, how about we, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, fine. Like, I'll take the check. But, like,
yeah. Can you tone it down a little bit?
exactly.
Though? Yeah.
But, like, that's the only time, like, that I was
Right.
seen as, like, brand friendly was, like, during that, during Pride when Trump wasn't in office. But now I feel like the companies that are actually taking a stance with like diversity, equity, and inclusion, they really don't like they have no problem wanting to be around like creators like myself
in December even, God forbid.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like I have a lot of my friends are content creators, which is like that's how I
Yo, drop some names.
Yeah.
Do they want to be on a podcast?
like my thing is like that's how I kind of like make friends in the city too, is like through social media.
Totally.
I have like a friend that I'm meeting up with tomorrow. Like first time meeting him. So like it's like that's how I make friends in the city. But it's one of those things where I could see some people being very cautious, and I 100% like. And again, I'm not like the type to like pounce on people all the time. Like you have to pick your battles with people in a lot of ways. Otherwise, you're just gonna be lonely.
Yeah,
like
100%.
you can't be out here. You can't be out here being like, so there was an election and you on this date didn't say that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not real.
Yeah. But it is interesting, though, because I think I saw a lot of discourse after the most recent American election of people being like, yo, if your like favorite influencer wasn't saying something, you need to hold them to account, whatever. And like, I don't think we need to hold influencers to the same, or celebrity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you take literally, like, if you're following somebody on TikTok, whatever, that like I would not take health advice for, you know what I mean? Like I'm following it because I think your house is nice and I like your outfits. Like that's where your opinion to me ends, right?
Well,
and so I think, but it is interesting though because we have not seen any of that in this space in Canada.
Well, it's very interesting. I agree and I don't agree with that entirely because it's funny because in America, the people who were, I don't want to be political.
Right.
My thing is like, there's definitely privilege behind that where you think that not everything's political. My thing when it comes to people not wanting to talk about politics, I can, it's kind of like what I was saying is like, I just feel I understand the idea of being worried about being brand friendly, especially as a freelancer. Because if you're a content creator, like your income is like kind of not stable.
Yes.
So if you're out here taking a stance and all of a sudden you lose your sponsorships, it's a risk.
That's
Which is why like for me, like when it comes to making that content, I had a 9 to 5, so I wasn't always like worried about what was going on when I made content.
Right.
Which I think everyone in Toronto though, if you're a Canadian creator, you have a 9 to 5.
Or
like,
some other way to make money for sure.
You're hustling. Like there's not just one income. If you have one income, wow. Kudos to you. You either probably moved to America by this point then if you are able to make that your full-time job.
Like,
But
was your 9 to 5 cool with you making content like that, or they didn't know about it, or
they kind of knew, but I also was sure to block everyone that I worked with. It was very much a job straight out of school that like I wasn't there for friendships type of thing. And it's clear that they weren't there for me either because I was laid off. But I mean that's corporate.
Totally. But
like,
that was unrelated to your social media
100%,
to clarify.
Which is like crazy. When I got laid off, I was like, it had nothing to do with my content.
You were like, I was waiting for that.
Literally, I was like, are you sure that had nothing to do with that? So that I don't know. So I understand with people being very cautious around politics, but the thing with me is that if you don't want to speak about politics will speak for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you see people, for example, like in America right now, people who had small businesses, I didn't know this was going to happen with tariffs. Yeah, Diva, what did you think tariffs were?
Right.
What like you're not making things domestic.
I saw a sign from one of his rallies recently that was like, there's a new tariff in town. Like there was and I'm like, oh, literacy is dead. Literacy is a lost art. Yikes.
Well, like, and like, I don't know, when it comes to literacy, like it's so funny because this is the one thing I said with, and I say this all the time with younger people now, which I think you might resonate with it a little bit because we're like around
the youth. The youth.
Well, because I think we're around the same age because I'm 28.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 28 in literally 2 weeks.
Okay, so like, so we might be the same age.
We might statistically be exactly the same age.
Putting up feelers.
Yeah.
It's like, so we're 20. Yeah.
Four.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like 28. Gross.
Shut up.
Gross.
Ew, no.
Yeah.
Ew.
But like when we were in school, like we were taught computers. Like we had to go to a literal like you had
the computer lab.
You would go to a room.
I feel so sad that the youth don't know what a computer lab smells like.
Exactly. Like you would have to go to a room and you would have to learn computers. And for me, when it comes to media, like with literacy, I feel like the biggest disservice that we have for younger people now is that there needs to be a media literacy course.
100%.
Where instead of computers, it's media literacy.
Even for older people too.
Oh, 100%.
Like even just some of the stuff my mom will show me on like Facebook. I'm like, that is AI.
Well, and it's so funny because I had this conversation not that long ago with my mom where it's like, you know, people who are Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they love to mock boomers and like not understanding what AI is. I'm sorry, Gen Z and Gen Alpha wanting to play this game of fuck around, find out when it comes to like politics. Well, I wasn't there for the Harper.
Right.
And it's like, so what?
So you think it didn't happen or that it would, you know?
We're like in a culture war right now where people literally, if they didn't experience it or see with their own eyes, it's like, well, let's try it. So I just feel like there needs to be something with a younger generation with media literacy where, you know, they're being taught, you know, what's a reliable source? What
totally. And not even just like sources, but also like understanding that like social media is designed to keep you on the app as long as possible.
Yeah.
And like how we get into echo chambers that way. Like it's not designed to give you a nuanced, like full discussion understanding of things and like being able to recognize that even. It's just like such a small anyways, we could probably have a full podcast episode just on that.
100%.
Also, wait, new business venture. Are we gonna make that a course and sell it to no one's gonna pay for that.
Well, I mean, our
I was like, the government is gonna buy. I'm sure Doug Ford's provincial government Department of Education is gonna buy this course from us.
Well, listen, if it's privatized,
You're right. They're gonna be like, please, could you teach a couple kids?
If it's sponsored by some sort of alcohol, like craft beer brand, like it'll be a media literacy course, and all of a sudden you'll see an ad, and it's just like this was sponsored by.
It was crack a cold one, and your mind open.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep.
Okay, we'll keep workshopping it, but we've got
there's something there.
Oh my god. Okay, Dylan, I've got a couple just quick questions for you.
Okay.
We'll wrap up the episode today. Cool. What's one app on your phone that you refuse to delete?
It's terrible, but I want to say Twitter.
Yeah.
It's Twitter. Like I also refuse to call it X. It's Twitter.
Okay.
I feel like I just go to Twitter for like the brain rot of it all, because like there's TikTok and there's Instagram, but Twitter is like a different side where like
really
gay Twitter goes hard.
I'm not really on Twitter. Should I be on Twitter?
I don't know. I feel like that might be a lot for you. I have my moments where I'm like, actually, I don't even know if I want to be on this.
Really?
But
okay.
like, gay Twitter has essentially become Tumblr. Like, is kind of like the way I view it. So like, I usually go to Twitter for like what's trending. I go there for like the memes. I also go there to see like what's going on with like the pop girlies.
Yeah.
Like, or even like if there's like live footage from Beyonce.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for like.
See, that's the kind of stuff that I would just see on TikTok, and I'd be like, good, I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah, my thing is like then you just have some like 30-year-old gay man who's giving you like his take on it.
Yeah.
Which it kind of just gives it like another like.
I do feel like tweets and like threads and like that kind of thing, they are often funnier because you have to be more concise with like your word. Like even if I'm scrolling, I'll be like, too many words, I'm not reading that, you know what I mean? And it's same thing with TikTok, where it's like, well, baby, you probably had a joke in your video, but you took so long to get there that I didn't get it the way I needed to. Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. Okay, so you're deleting Twitter. Can you read us something from your notes app?
Oh my god, my notes app. Where is my phone? Let me see here. My notes app is all over the place though.
What do you usually put in there?
So it's usually dimensions for IKEA.
Oh,
it's usually,
as it should be.
It's usually IKEA dimensions. If I also have an email to write, I will write in the notes app and then copy if it's like a real like.
Oh, okay. I do that with like a text sometimes.
Oh
it's
yeah.
Like, you know.
The most recent one is female sports apparel brand is what I wrote as the title of it.
Okay.
And that was related to a possible freelance project I was gonna do.
Oh.
But it didn't work out because oh my god, I could
Are you gonna get canceled for something else now?
No, it's not. But it's just like literally like my mind. Like this is why it's like I'm very interested in the podcast realm, because like there's so much shit I could just talk about from a brain rot perspective. But I've been like, because I've been unemployed, I was like, let me just try like, you know, networking through Grindr.
Yeah.
Like I always laughed at the people who were like, they had LinkedIn as an option on Grindr. I was like, who is networking on Grindr? And then this one person who like is in my area.
This is a recession indicator.
Oh,
like connecting your.
This isn't recession indicator. This is apocalypse indicator of having to like girl boss gals to like gatekeep through Grindr.
Gag your way.
Literally, like literally, like it's yeah. So like, this one guy who like I would see, like he reached out to, like he had like we connected on LinkedIn, and he had some sort of like freelance project he wanted to work on, but the timeline was like so crazy. And that's why like I have such issue with AI, because like it's caused people to not understand how long design work actually takes.
Right. Because they're expecting like, well, I gave you the command. Why isn't it ready yet?
Life as a designer is like crazy. Like that's why I find that also carries over to my content of like being able to take critique, because in design you have to learn how to take critique.
Sure.
If you can't, you're not doing well.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he wanted like 60 slides of a presentation done by tomorrow. And it was like 2:00, like the day he did it. And I was like, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, oh, like and it was like for some sort of like female sports, whatever.
You were so checked out, you literally wrote down the title of the note, and then you were like, oh, this isn't gonna be anything.
That's it. Clocked it. That's literally it. It was that, and that was it. And I didn't even he didn't even ask for the price and everything, because it just became so passive aggressive. Because then he was just like, you know, I could argue how AI could do it. And I was like, well, then
use AI.
Use AI.
Yeah, you don't need me.
And he's like, you could stay up all night. And I was like, why would I do that? Yeah. Why would I stay up all night for your poor management of time?
Right.
So that was what's in my notes.
Yikes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. We never know we never know. I ask that to everybody, and sometimes it's fun like this, you know? And we learned a lot about you on that one.
I think we learned a lot about me with this whole episode. Yeah, there was a lot to unpack.
Last question for you, Dylan.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself from being overstimulated?
Um, I don't know. I think getting fresh air, getting off your phone. Like, it's funny because like I'm chronically online, but when I'm out and about, I don't like usually check my phone.
Right.
I'm like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
always like I will just go walk through the
It's
park.
crazy. When I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, I was like, my screen time was like cut in like a third
Yeah.
of what it usually was. And I was like, and that was the happiest I felt.
Yeah.
I was like, I was just really living life.
Yeah.
It's so
Well, and
nice.
like for me, like when I'm with someone, like it's like I don't typically check my phone. Like, or I'm not on my phone, I should
Yes,
say. Like
yeah.
I like to engage with like
the
in-person
person in
interaction.
front of you.
And I think that's like how I also
That's
stay.
actually kind of more of a millennial take.
Oh,
than,
well, my thing is like I'm on the cusp of like millennial.
yes,
right.
we are.
Yeah, we. Yeah, you're like we.
Let's use inclusive language.
You're like we.
We also. Yeah.
You're like we, sister. We are the people. We are youth. Like, but I don't know. I just find like in like having a connection with people is how I stay kind of like not
Like grounded, yeah,
grounded
yeah.
and just like not. Because again, like you can see so many things online and you just get so worked up.
Yeah.
And it's just like put the phone down.
Yeah.
Let's go touch some grass. Yeah, that's kind of how
Yeah.
I just say.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Us 28-year-olds gotta stick together in this
Us.
big city, you know?
Changing your bio is just like we. Like,
I love it. Dylan, where can everybody find you online?
so you can find me on TikTok, Instagram with my name, Dylan Horner. That's pretty much it for the most part. I don't think I have any other like usernames for myself.
Twitter? Are you what about Twitter?
Twitter, don't follow me on Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter, don't follow me on Twitter. That's like no, we're not. I use Twitter. Don't follow me on Twitter. That's the
Okay.
one. That's the one app where it's like let's just
That's
keep that.
your piece. It's okay.
That I'm a user on Twitter. I'm not like
A creator.
a creator on Twitter.
Got it.
There's some people like there's one person who I like. Oh my god, his shit is so funny to me. His username is what is it? Hey Jay.
Okay.
Oh, someone needs to hire him as a writer because his shit is so funny and it goes viral all the time. Like I live for his content, and it's just like, ugh, yeah. Some people just like they're good at Twitter.
Yeah,
they're good at Twitter,
yeah.
but like, yeah, don't follow me on Twitter. That
Don't follow Twitter.
no. That's like that. If you want to see like a different side of me, that's that.
That's
app.
that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the people who are interested in Grindr will move over to Twitter.
Oh, that's like.
That's I know because you were saying it's like a different side of you on a different app.
Oh yeah, different apps are different.
They're always different. Oh my God, he has
always
so many-
different. Literally, like multiple personality disorder, but it's just me using different apps. Yeah.
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
LinkedIn's different. They're all
LinkedIn.
they've all, yeah.
LinkedIn, I'm there with like a cute little profile
Yeah.
picture. Also, don't follow me on LinkedIn.
No, don't do that.
Don't
That's
do that.
weird.
That's weird.
That just doesn't seem. That
I
isn't right.
hate that
Yeah.
shit.
No.
Like, I also like that. Like even when I got laid off, I had people trying to like reach out to me or like just like looking at my socials, and I was like, don't do that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
don't
yeah.
be looking at my socials. Go LinkedIn.
This is that's
Time and
wrong
place.
app. Yeah,
Time and place. Time and place.
is also digital space.
Yes.
as well. Yeah,
Yes.
we got it.
Yes.
Oh my god! Thanks guys so much for getting overstimulated with us. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.